The tale begins in a shadow-drenched Athens, where whispers of a monstrous beast drift through the crowded agora. Mothers hush their children, terrified of the cursed labyrinth across the sea in Crete. The Minotaur, half man, half bull, lurks within a prison of endless stone. Each year, Athenian youths are sent as tribute, never to return. In this heavy silence, a young prince named Theseus rises, vowing to end the cycle of fear forever. Theseus, son of King Aegeus of Athens, grows strong and brave under the guidance of wise mentors. Legends already surround him of how he lifted the great stone to claim his father's sword and sandals. With destiny burning in his heart, he sets his sights on a path no one dares tread. His name will either be sung for eternity or lost in tragedy. King Aegeus watches Theseus with both pride and dread. He knows the dangers that lie in Crete, the labyrinth, King Minos' wrath, and the beast within. Desperation and love lead him to plead with his son to stay, but Theseus is resolute. His destiny is bound to the Minotaur, and no warning can alter the fire of his resolve. On the shore of Athens, a ship with black sails is prepared. Traditionally, it returns in mourning, for none who leave for Crete ever come back. Theseus, however, commands that white sails will be raised if he succeeds. This promise sparks a fragile flame of hope in his father's weary heart. The ship cuts through turbulent seas, the crew whispering of the cursed island ahead. Theseus stands unshaken, his hand on his sword, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The sea spray lashes at him as though testing his resolve. He silently vows, "This voyage will not end in despair." Crete rises from the mist, a land of beauty and menace. The palace of King Minos towers above, gilded with wealth, but shadowed by cruelty. The Athenian youths tremble as they step ashore, knowing they are marked for sacrifice. Theseus walks calmly among them, a quiet pillar of courage. King Minos receives the Athenians with cold authority. His eyes rest upon Theseus, measuring his pride and fire. To Minos, this is no ordinary tribute. This is a challenge. The king's words are sharp, like a blade meant to wound pride before blood is shed. Among the court stands Ariadne, daughter of Minos. Her eyes find Theseus, and something within her stirs, a quiet defiance against her father's cruelty. Though fear binds her lips, her heart whispers a rebellion, yet unspoken. Before the sacrifice, Crete holds a feast. Music and dancers fill the halls, but the Athenians eat little, their faces pale. Theseus, however, dines with calm resolve, his confidence unnerving even the most seasoned Cretan warriors. Shadows of the Minotaur haunt every corner of the revelry. In the dead of night, Ariadne seeks Theseus in secret. Torch in hand, she warns him of the labyrinth's endless traps. Her voice trembles as she offers him a gift, a ball of enchanted thread that will guide him back if he survives. In that moment, destiny entwines their fates together. As Ariadne gives him the thread, their hands linger together. The world falls away, and for a heartbeat, only their eyes exist. The forbidden kiss they share is not of passion alone. It is a silent pact, a promise of shared destiny. The dawn breaks, and the Athenian youths are led to the labyrinth. Theseus grips Ariadne's thread tightly, each step echoing into the chilling stone maze. The gates close behind them with a dreadful clang, sealing their fate within. The labyrinth swallows them whole. Endless corridors, twisting passages, walls whispering despair. The air is damp with dread. Each turn could lead to salvation or death. Theseus walks at the front, steady and unshaken, leading the doomed youths deeper into the unknown. From the depths of the maze comes a sound that chills the soul, the bellow of the Minotaur. The walls vibrate with its rage, and the Athenian youths weep in terror. Theseus, however, grips his sword tighter, his eyes shining with anticipation rather than fear. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shifts, sending two youths plunging into a hidden pit lined with spears. Their cries echo in the maze. Theseus curses the cruelty of Daedalus's design, but presses forward, knowing hesitation will mean death for all. Theseus rallies the survivors, urging them to endure. His words are fire against despair. Even in the suffocating dark, his presence becomes a beacon. Hope, fragile but real, flickers once more in the youth's hearts. The walls bear claw marks. Bones lie scattered on the ground. The air reeks of blood and fear. Each step is a descent further into the Minotaur's lair. Theseus's heart beats steady. Each sign fuels his resolve. The final confrontation draws near. A roar splits the silence, and from the shadows emerges the Minotaur, towering, grotesque, its eyes burning with hatred. The Athenians scatter in terror, but Theseus stands his ground, his sword gleaming in the torchlight. The battle is inevitable. Steel meets horn in a violent clash. The Minotaur's strength shakes the walls, each blow like thunder. Theseus moves with precision, dodging its crushing fists, striking where he can. The labyrinth itself seems to tremble under their fury. The Minotaur seizes Theseus, crushing him in its grip. Bones creak under its monstrous strength, but the hero's will is unbreakable. With a roar of his own, he drives his blade into the beast's side, the struggle becoming a test not of muscle, but of endurance and destiny. The Minotaur bellows in agony as Theseus's blade sinks deeper into its flesh. Its roar echoes like thunder through the endless maze, shaking loose dust and stone from the ceiling. The Athenians cower behind walls, unable to watch the battle that will decide their fate. Theseus presses on, refusing to falter. Summoning all his strength, Theseus twists his blade and drives it into the Minotaur's heart. The beast lets out a final guttural roar, then collapses in a quake of muscle and horn. Silence falls heavy. Only the hero's labored breathing remains, echoing like a drum of victory. The Athenian youths emerge from hiding, eyes wide with disbelief. The monster that haunted their nightmares lies dead at their feet. Tears of relief flow freely. They rush to Theseus, clinging to him as if to a savior, their despair replaced by trembling hope. Yet victory does not grant freedom. The walls still twist around them, endless and merciless. The golden thread in Theseus's hand now glows like salvation, a lifeline back to the world of sunlight. He knows the battle was only half the journey. Step by step, the survivors retrace their path, guided by Ariadne's thread. The maze resists, echoing strange whispers, as if Daedalus's creation mourns the fall of its master. Fear lingers, but the thought of freedom pulls them onward. The golden thread leads them to a hidden passage, one rarely used. A slab of stone pushes open to reveal the cool night air of Crete. For the first time since entering, the scent of salt and freedom fills their lungs. Their chains to fear are breaking. At the edge of the palace courtyard, Ariadne waits, her eyes shining with desperate hope. When she sees Theseus alive, she rushes to him, tears glistening in the torchlight. Their hands meet again, not in secrecy this time, but in triumph. Together, they lead the rescued Athenians to the waiting ship. Every step is filled with urgency. The palace guards could awaken at any moment. Shadows move across the courtyard, but Theseus and Ariadne press on, guided by courage and love. A shout erupts. Their absence has been discovered. Armed Cretan guards rush into the courtyard, swords gleaming. Chaos breaks out as Theseus stands between his people and the pursuers, holding his blade high to buy time for their escape. Steel clashes beneath the cold moonlight. Theseus fights with the ferocity of one who has faced death itself. Each strike fells an enemy, while Ariadne guides the youths toward the ship. The clash of metal and cries of battle pierce the night air. Finally, Theseus cuts through the last guard and races to the shore. The ship waits, its sails ready to catch the wind. The Athenians clamber aboard, hearts pounding with hope. Behind them, Crete burns with chaos and rage. The ship cuts through the dark waters, leaving Crete behind. Ariadne stands at the rail, watching her homeland fade into the distance. Though fear of her father's wrath lingers, her heart beats with newfound freedom beside Theseus. At last, the sea calms. Theseus and Ariadne steal a quiet moment at the prow, the night wind tangling their hair. She whispers of dreams beyond Crete, of life, of freedom, of love. Theseus listens, his gaze softening, knowing their fates are forever entwined. They stop at the island of Naxos to rest. The Athenians collapse in exhaustion, finally tasting safety. Ariadne walks the quiet beach with Theseus, imagining a new life together, unchained from her father's cruelty and the shadow of the Minotaur. That night, Ariadne dreams of a towering god, his voice thunderous. Dionysus, lord of wine and ecstasy, claims her for himself. She wakes in tears, her heart torn between destiny and love. The gods are never far from mortal affairs. At dawn, Theseus makes a fateful decision. Though he loves Ariadne, some say the gods compel him. Others claim fear of her Cretan blood. Quietly, while she sleeps, he orders the ship to sail. When she wakes, she stands alone on Naxos's shore, betrayed and heartbroken. The Athenians sail on in silence, the weight of betrayal heavy in the air. Theseus stares ahead, his jaw clenched. Victory over the Minotaur feels hollow now, for love and guilt gnaw at his heart. The sea offers no answers, only endless waves. In his grief and distraction, Theseus forgets the promise to his father. The sails remain black. The ship approaches Athens, bearing victory and life, yet cloaked in the color of mourning. Fate sharpens its cruel hand. From the cliffs of Athens, King Aegeus watches the ship approach. When he sees the black sails, his heart shatters. Believing his son dead, he throws himself into the sea below. His body vanishes into the waves that will forever bear his name, the Aegean. Theseus steps ashore, triumphant yet broken. His people cheer, yet their joy dies when they learn of the king's fate. Victory has come at a terrible cost. A monster slain, a father lost, a love abandoned. Theseus's eyes burn with the burden of fate, knowing legends are forged not only in triumph, but in tragedy. The city mourns the loss of King Aegeus. Though Theseus has freed Athens from the shadow of Crete, sorrow overshadows celebration. Draped in black, he kneels before his father's empty throne, feeling the weight of his choices and the emptiness of triumph without family. The elders of Athens place the crown upon Theseus's head. Though young, he is hailed as savior and king. His jaw is firm, his gaze steady, but deep inside, he still carries guilt. Power and responsibility wrap around him like chains of destiny. As king, Theseus dreams of uniting Attica's divided towns under one banner. His vision is not of conquest, but of strength through unity. He travels the countryside, earning loyalty through fairness and courage. The seeds of a greater Athens are planted. Ruling Athens proves harder than slaying the Minotaur. Petty feuds, jealous nobles, and foreign threats rise like new beasts to challenge him. Theseus learns that the labyrinth of politics twists more cruelly than stone corridors ever could. The gods watch Theseus with divided eyes. Poseidon, who some claim as his true father, whispers from the sea. Athena, patron of wisdom, tests him with challenges of justice. Dionysus still lingers, bitter over Ariadne. The hero's fate is no longer fully his own. In battle against raiders, Theseus meets Pirithous, a warrior of unmatched courage. The two clash in combat, yet neither yields. Respect turns to friendship, a bond of iron forged in rivalry. Together, they vow to face any trial, even those against the will of gods. Theseus journeys with Pirithous to a wedding in Thessaly. There, centaurs invited as guests turn wild, seizing women and overturning tables in drunken madness. Theseus leaps into battle, sword flashing, his fury bringing order to chaos. Word of Theseus spreads across Greece. He defeats bandits on the roads, clears sacred paths, and frees the oppressed. To the people, he becomes not just a king, but a living protector. Yet, with each victory, whispers of arrogance creep into his legend. Alone at night, Theseus recalls Ariadne on Naxos. Though history paints him as a glorious king, his heart remembers her eyes filled with betrayal. The weight of memory is heavier than his crown. Regret lingers like a wound that never heals. Across the sea, tales arise of fierce warrior women, the Amazons. Drawn by curiosity and ambition, Theseus sails to their lands. There he encounters Antiope, queen among warriors, her strength and beauty unlike any he has known. Theseus and Antiope clash, then fall into a bond deeper than rivalry.
Their union brings her to Athens as his queen, but not without cost. The Amazons view it as betrayal, and war soon follows. Blood and love intertwine in a storm of fate.
The Amazons invade Athens, scaling walls and torching fields. Theseus rallies his people, defending his city with valor. The clash shakes Athens to its roots, but at last the invaders are driven back, leaving scars of both battle and betrayal.
From his union with Antiope comes a son, Hippolytus, noble and strong. Theseus dreams of a legacy through him, a future free of shadow. Yet the fates weave threads unseen, and what begins in love will one day end in tragedy.
Though the war ends, the peace within Athens remains fragile. Nobles whisper against Theseus, accusing him of recklessness. His marriage strains under the weight of politics. The labyrinth of leadership proves as dangerous as the one of stone. In time, Theseus weds again, this time to Phaedra, sister of Ariadne. The marriage is meant to strengthen alliances, but it also reopens old wounds. The shadow of Ariadne lingers, haunting both bride and groom in unspoken silence. The gods stir once more. Aphrodite strikes Phaedra with forbidden desire for Hippolytus, Theseus's own son. Tormented by love she cannot control, Phaedra hides her anguish, her eyes burning with secrets that threaten to unravel destiny itself. Phaedra, consumed by shame, falsely accuses Hippolytus of seduction. Theseus, blind with rage and wounded pride, calls upon Poseidon to punish his son. His judgment, hasty and cruel, becomes the beginning of his deepest regret. As Hippolytus drives his chariot along the shore, Poseidon answers Theseus's prayer. A monstrous wave rises, birthing a sea beast that terrifies the horses. The chariot shatters. Hippolytus is dragged and crushed. His screams vanish into the roar of the sea. When Phaedra takes her own life in despair, her letter reveals the truth. Theseus learns too late of his son's innocence. He collapses in grief, his soul shattered by guilt heavier than any crown. The hero who once slew monsters is undone by his own judgment. Years pass, and Theseus grows weary. Once celebrated as savior and hero, he now sits upon a throne surrounded by silence. Friends are gone, family lost, love turned to dust. His eyes, once filled with fire, now stare at shadows only he can see. The nobles of Athens grow restless. Once they hailed Theseus as savior, but now they mutter that he has brought too much grief upon the city. They remember the war with the Amazons, the death of Hippolytus, the shadow of curses. Their loyalty begins to crack. Athens changes as new leaders rise, hungering for power. Theseus, weary with years of loss, finds his authority challenged at every turn. Decisions once greeted with cheers are now questioned, twisted, or defied. The throne feels colder with each passing day. Once beloved, Theseus now walks the streets to cold stares. Where there were cheers, there is silence. Where there was gratitude, there is bitterness. The people whisper that his luck has run dry, that the gods have turned their backs on him. Alone in his chambers, Theseus gazes at the sword that once slew the Minotaur. He remembers the Labyrinth, Ariadne's thread, his father's cliff,
his victories and failures. The glory of youth feels like a distant dream swallowed by the relentless tide of time. At last, Theseus's enemies strike. Through cunning plots, they strip him of authority. The king who once united Attica is forced from his throne. Betrayed by those he once protected, he leaves the city he saved with nothing but the weight of memory. Theseus wanders the land, no longer ruler, no longer celebrated. He seeks refuge among distant allies, but none welcome him warmly. The once great hero finds himself adrift, a relic of another age, his name fading from songs and stories. At last, Theseus arrives on the island of Skyros, seeking rest and shelter. King Lycomedes receives him with smiles, but beneath the warmth hides suspicion. For Theseus's fame, even dimmed, is still enough to threaten lesser rulers. One morning, Lycomedes leads Theseus on a walk along the high cliffs. They speak of old battles and the sea's beauty, but behind the king's words lies betrayal. With a sudden push, Theseus is hurled from the rocks toward the crashing waves below. Theseus plummets, arms flailing, the wind howling in his ears. The sea rises to meet him, a cold embrace of fate. In that fleeting instant, his mind races through memories. The Minotaur, Ariadne, his father, his son, all threads of a tragic tapestry. The waves crash over his body, pulling him beneath. No army, no crowd, no family watches his final moment. The sea, once an ally, becomes his grave. The hero who once defied monsters is silenced not by gods, but by the cruelty of men. When word reaches Athens of Theseus's death, the city falls into uneasy silence. Some weep for the hero who once saved them. Others whisper that fate has finally claimed him. Guilt stirs among those who turned their backs on their king. Bards sing again of Theseus, but now with tones of mourning. They recall the slayer of the Minotaur, the unifier of Attica, the champion of the weak. His flaws are softened by death, his deeds carved into legend, his name whispered with reverence once more. Far across the sea, Ariadne, now immortal in Dionysus's embrace, feels a pang in her heart. Once betrayed, she now grieves the end of the man she once loved. Even in immortality, the threads of destiny tie her to Theseus's fate. Years pass, and Theseus's tomb is forgotten, overgrown with weeds. His story becomes a whisper, his name invoked in oaths and prayers, but his face fades from memory. Legends endure, but the man dissolves into the river of time. Centuries later, Athenians reclaim his bones, bringing them back to the city with honor. At last, Theseus is given the respect he was denied in life's final years. Temples rise in his name, and his spirit returns to the heart of Athens. Theseus becomes not just a man of myth, but a symbol. To future Athenians, he is remembered as the unifier, the champion of freedom, the slayer of tyranny, whether beastly or political. His story becomes a mirror for the city's soul. The labyrinth remains, crumbling in Crete, but its shadow lives in every retelling of his tale. To face one's Minotaur becomes a symbol of courage. To hold Ariadne's thread, a symbol of wisdom. To wear black sails, a warning of grief. The Moirai, the Fates, sit at their loom, weaving the thread of Theseus's life into the great tapestry of history.
His thread glows brighter than most, marked with triumph and tragedy, love and betrayal. His story is now eternal. His story teaches that greatness is not without flaw, that even heroes stumble, and that destiny spares no one. Yet it also teaches that courage can reshape the world, that one life can change the fate of nations. Theseus lives on in every telling. Thus ends the tale of Theseus, slayer of the Minotaur, king of Athens, lover, betrayer, and betrayed. His life was a labyrinth of its own, filled with twists, triumphs, and tragedies. Yet his name endures, echoing through the ages as both man and myth. After his death, the world seems quieter. The waves of Skyros carry whispers of his name, and the wind through Athens' streets feels emptier. For a time, it is as though the very land mourns the passing of its greatest son. Soon, stories of Theseus grow. Children hear of a hero who walked into a labyrinth and slew a monster. Elders add flourishes, threads that gleam with magic, battles that shook mountains. The man fades, and the myth is born. Each retelling changes the details. In some, Ariadne is forgotten. In others, she is the savior. Sometimes the Minotaur is a beast, other times a cursed prince. Yet always, Theseus stands at the heart, blade in hand, unyielding. Across Greece, shrines to Theseus appear. Sailors pray to him for safe passage. Warriors invoke his name before battle. Even farmers carve his image on tools, believing the strength of a hero lingers in his memory. Whispers spread that Theseus's spirit walks among the Olympians. Some say he dines with Heracles, others that he stands beside Athena, his patron. Mortals debate his fate, but all agree he belongs not to men alone, but to eternity. Ariadne's golden thread becomes a symbol far beyond the labyrinth. Philosophers use it as a metaphor for reason, guiding men through chaos. Lovers tie ribbons in memory of her gift. The thread lives on, as eternal as the story itself. Though slain, the Minotaur is never forgotten. He becomes a symbol of mankind's inner darkness, the beast within. Every telling of his story reminds mortals that courage means not only facing monsters outside, but those lurking within. Athenians come to see Theseus not merely as a king, but as the soul of their city. His deeds embody the spirit of unity, courage, and sacrifice. Festivals are held in his honor, ensuring his presence lingers through centuries. Yet, outside Athens, time erodes his memory. Other heroes rise: Achilles, Odysseus, Heracles. In distant lands, Theseus is a shadow compared to them. But in the hearts of Athenians, his flame burns steadfast. Generations later, poets breathe new life into his tale. His battles, loves, and losses are sung in grand epics. His labyrinth becomes a metaphor for life itself, and his name is stitched into the fabric of culture once again. The labyrinth becomes more than stone. It appears in dreams. Philosophers dream of mazes representing the mind. Kings dream of corridors of power. Lovers dream of threads of fate. In all of them, Theseus walks with blade and courage. Historians debate his choices. Was he cruel to Ariadne, or fated to leave her? Did he bring glory to Athens, or endless grief? The truth blurs, but the debates themselves keep him alive. History refuses to let him vanish. Theseus is remembered as both savior and flawed man. He is a hero who slew monsters, yet failed his loved ones. A king who unified Athens, yet lost his crown. This paradox gives him immortality, too human to be forgotten, too great to be denied. Sailors navigating the Aegean speak of a star that shines brightest when storms rage. They call it Theseus's star, believing it to be his spirit guiding them through peril, just as he once guided Athens through darkness. Priests dream that Theseus's spirit walks again through Athens, his figure cloaked in mist, blessing his city. In these visions, the city's walls glow with strength, as though his presence protects them even from beyond death. Theseus's tale becomes a lesson. Life itself is a labyrinth, full of twists and shadows. Each person must face their Minotaur, find their thread, and emerge with courage. In this, his story transcends myth to become eternal wisdom. In stories, Theseus and Heracles are often compared, two great heroes of Greece, one of brute strength, the other of cunning. The rivalry continues in the minds of men, fueling debates of what it truly means to be a hero. By now, centuries have passed, yet Theseus's story still lives. Carved in marble, painted in frescoes, etched in song, his journey is told again and again. The boy who entered a labyrinth never truly left it. He lives on in every telling. Future generations take his tale as inspiration. Young heroes in every age look to Theseus and see not only his triumphs, but his struggles, reminding them that greatness is born not of perfection, but of persistence. And so, Theseus, man, king, betrayer, savior, remains immortal. His labyrinth was life itself, his Minotaur was fate, and his thread was courage. Though centuries roll on, his story still whispers in the hearts of dreamers, lovers, and heroes yet to be.